You just gotta watch for his invisibility pressure.
It also helps to have your team invade his first box clear, whether he's starting blue, usually blue, and if you destroy his boxes as he's setting them up before 1:30, then that really, really screws up his clear. Like, he won't be able to invade you at all early if you do that. It's like the most simple way you could counter Shaco as any champ.
One thing you can also do to make that easier is if you have any champions that, like if you're a support or if you're playing a champion that doesn't need a lot of pots, or if you want to go for a non-greedy clear, you can also grab one pot and a pink instead, and you just place the pink and it disables all of his boxes. And so it's like, you just walk up, you place the pink, and even if nothing happens after that, his first clear is literal garbage. Mm-hmm. So like, even if you're the one to buy the pink, you're making your first clear worse, but I'd rather have one potion and a Shaco that takes 3 minutes to clear 3 camps than to have 2 potions and a Shaco that's probably going to level 3 invade me or level 2 invade me. That's my personal choice.
Sounds wonderful.
So I think before we go on to like answering questions, I think we should cover the new runes first, because I think everyone's most excited for that, I assume. Everyone's got a bunch of stuff to say, hopefully, about the new runes and how they feel about it. So,
all right.
Can I start off quickly just by saying I'm awfully depressed about the departure of Storm Raiders. It's been hard, boys. I've been going to a bit of a fucking relapse about. I'm just like mentally.
What you can do is you can do phase rush or escape velocity. Escape velocity is like 10% move speed, so it's not as strong as Storm Raiders, but as soon as you auto someone, you're going to get 10% move speed running towards them. So if you haven't tried that and you ever have been interested in inspiration, that's an option.
Well, I think it's called escape velocity. Is there, but it's just like so weak compared to Storm
but I mean, that's what I'm saying. If you've ever been interested in going inspiration, escape velocity is only 10% move speed, but it's a minor rune rather than 40% move speed for a keystone.
Well, there you go. I saw that, but I didn't think that. Isn't that not only on targets who impair though?
It's on targets. It's on targets that are impaired in any way. So whether you do it or not, but after your first auto, so it's basically the same way as Storm Raiders would have procced on your first auto.
So I guess we're starting with phase rush. Personally, I didn't mind phase rush. I thought it was okay, but I mean, the move speed nerf is definitely a hit to it, of course. But I think once you get later into the game, it's completely fine, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like it's being serious, like it is like it's still Storm Raiders, but the problem is the early game. Half the reason why I took the keystone was for chasing down kills in the early game, and it got hit pretty badly. The early game nerf it received. But I don't know. It's I guess compared to all the other options, it just feels like it's not really an option, if you know what I mean, because it's just a lot weaker, in my opinion, compared to Electrocute and Dark Harvest and all that. But if it does get buffed back up or something, it'd definitely be pretty decent for him. I mean, it's still pretty decent for him now, but I think it'd be like a decent pick for whatever.
Yeah, I definitely think it has potential. Maybe a few buffs would help it out, definitely. Maybe for just melee champions or something, because I think part of the reason why they nerfed it was because ranged champions could use it so effectively.
Did you see also the Predator buffs? I mean, I feel like that's going to be almost as good as running phase rush. Like, it's almost better just because you're getting a huge chunk of move speed right when you're going for a kill. So I mean, I don't know. It feels like even if phase rush gets buffed, it's going to get eclipsed by Predator if they keep buffing Predator.
Yeah. So Predator had his cooldown lowered to like 150.
100 seconds. Well, yeah, 150 to 100.
Yeah,
which is really big.
Personally, I haven't tried Predator on Kha yet, but I feel like it's a good snowballing keystone. Maybe if you want to make a big play down, let's say bot lane or something, you can get move speed really quickly, and that would reduce the enemy's reaction time. But I don't know. Personally, I think Electrocute or Dark Harvest is still, they're still better keystones compared to that, just because of the damage potential. But that's my opinion. I still need to try out Predator properly.
I pretty much agree with that. Yeah, like I just think, if you're taking Predator, you're missing out on kind of having a keystone when it's on cooldown, sort of thing. Which is my biggest problem with it. But there is like two things I'd like to say. The first thing is Ingenious Hunter, which is like that. What's the little keystone line? Not keystone, rune line.
It's the hunter line, yeah. It's old school.
Bounty hunt line or whatever. Yeah. Ingenious Hunter. If you get that to max stacks, that's like 40% cooldown reduction for Predator. So that's pretty solid.
I mean, I feel like it's a requirement. If you take Predator, you have to take that.
Yeah, definitely. Yep. And the second thing is if you are taking Predator, you're probably like 95% of the time going to be evolving your ARC because of the potential with that.
Yeah.
Like you could have Predator active and then you could run into like bot lane bush and
you go so fast.
There's no escape from that one. Like if you fuck that gank up.
There was this video where you could grab Moby Boots and Evolved Arrow as well as Predator, and you could run all the way down to bot lane through bot side jungle and stay invisible the whole time by using your 2 cards or Void Assault. Yeah, it was pretty insane. I need to try that sometime. But yeah. I think Predator might be
ends up being like a pro, like a thing that they do in LCS and stuff. Just to have those ganks that are like literally like you just can't see coming. But then again, it gets countered by deep wards because you'd see a KhaZix with Mobies and Predator active, and then you see him walk into a bush, and then all the lanes just piss off back to the turret. So maybe that won't work, but I don't know. Could be a thing.
Yeah.
Pretty much how I feel. Like I would probably encourage people to experiment with it, but for me it's the cooldown, and I almost feel like even though it is 45% movement speed and you can do something with that, I feel like you're not really that off without 45% movement speed. And especially when it's something that if it's happening as infrequently as it's designed right now, it needs to be very impactful. And I don't know, I just don't see 45% movement speed being that often, but maybe situationally I think it could be looked into for sure.
Yeah. Does anyone else have anything else to say about Predator, or can we go on to another keystone?
I think we should talk about Dark Harvest. I think it's super interesting.
Yeah, it's a pretty controversial keystone on Kha, isn't it?
Yeah.
Mostly catered towards like a farming playstyle.
Yeah, definitely.
I think the thing about Dark Harvest is it rewards snowballing a lot more than Electrocute does. Because if you're ahead, you're more likely to get a kill, and if you get a kill, you get a reset. If you get a reset, you murder their entire team because your first auto on every enemy champion is going to do like an extra 400 damage.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a lot more snowbally, but it's also a lot more punishing if you get behind, because then you're not guaranteed to camp.
So it's a very feast or famine evolution.
Yep, if you're confident that you can get fed early, Dark Harvest I think it's mostly a playstyle difference. Like Electrocute, just like Thunderlords, is always going to be generic. That's what you go if you're new to KhaZix, or if you have an average coverage KhaZix playstyle. And I think Dark Harvest is only if your playstyle matches the keystone, where you're planning on farming, you are planning on taking opportunistic ganks after farming to use your keystone, and I think it's just going to be a playstyle difference between the two.
Mm-hmm.
And I think something that people forget about with Dark Harvest is it's not just for farming. Like if you gank a lane and it's like, let's say it's a cannon wave or whatever, you do a gank top lane, you kill the top laner or whatever, you don't even have to get the kill. And then you help your laner push the cannon minion into their turret and you do a little bit of push. That's like, I think that's 14
souls.
stacks of Dark Harvest. Yeah, 14 souls. So, and that's that's more than I think a full clear. Because what does a full clear give you? 12.
Full clear plus scuttle.
Including,
Full clear plus
buffs,
scuttle
yeah.
gives you 14,
Yeah,
including
exactly.
buffs. So you need to literally clear everything, including buffs, just to get the same thing.
Yeah, and as was said, like it helps you snowball like a madman if you get rolling. So I personally really like Dark Harvest, but it's hard to say whether it's more effective than Electrocute. But I think it's more of a playstyle thing. It might even be the keystone that determines. It might even be determined by is it like a late game meta, is it an early game meta? Because like early game you go Electrocute, late game you go Dark Harvest, and then it'd be more consistent. But
my thing is that the difference between the two, the difference between Electrocute and Dark Harvest early game is not that substantial. It's like 20 damage at most. And one thing that's important to remember is that Dark Harvest is also really beneficial for invades because let's say you 3 camp, you pop the blast cone, you walk into their blue. Okay, let's say they smite their blue away, right? So you auto attack them, they smite their blue. After they smite their blue, they've just given you a reset on your Dark Harvest. So it's really beneficial for invades because whether or not you get the camp, you're given an advantage in your duel, just by the fact that the camp died. And I think that's really important. Is that it's really beneficial for an invade. Yeah, it's really beneficial for an invade playstyle. Like I mean, as you guys know, I'm an Italy player, so I invade every game, and I always find them at their second buff. And if I activate Dark Harvest and I don't get their buff, I get a reset on their Dark Harvest, and I instantly kill them because of the extra 60 damage or whatever. And so you can do the exact same thing with KhaZix. You can meet them at their third, fourth camp. You can probably kill them, and even if you don't get the camp, you can get a reset. And the thing is, okay, so this is my comparison between Electric and Dark Harvest. If you play Nasus, you're playing Nasus to play Nasus late game, but you have to deal with playing Nasus early game. If you choose Dark Harvest, you're getting that Nasus late game, but you're losing 20 damage early game. You know what I mean? So you're not really losing that much early game just by swapping to Dark Harvest. That I think that if your playstyle even remotely matches the farm into opportunistic gank right after, I think Dark Harvest is just going to be better.
That's actually a
makes
pretty
sense.
awesome interaction in the early game because to me that kind of tips the scales a bit because obviously Dark Harvest should be a little weaker in the early game, but if you actually play it that way and get the reset from it,
yep, that's
counter
your
out
first.
its game weakness.
Your first objective is always make sure you auto attack them, and then if they smite the buff away because you don't have smite, or even if they don't, either way if they don't smite the buff away, you've lost 20 damage compared to Electrocute. If they do smite the buff away, you get a reset and you've gained damage compared to Electrocute. So either way, you're getting a pretty good benefit from your invade because your KhaZix, your early invades are good. That's pretty simple. And then whether they get the camp or not, it's pretty good for invading. I like it a lot.
Yeah, that definitely gives it a nice boost. The thing is too, I don't know how many people or how many souls people are ending the game with, but it looks like around 100 or 150 between there, souls, is where you're going to outscale Electrocute. So
yeah, and that's outscaling on the per proc damage.
Yeah.
If you get to 150 souls, it's 100% better than Electrocute. It's a lot easier to proc. It lasts for 5 minutes, which is just what the fuck, right? And it resets. It's perfect.
Yeah, I don't even know why it has a
Getting
duration.
to that point
Honestly,
is really hard. So
I don't even know why it has a duration when you get to 150 sacks. You're never going to go 5 minutes without hitting anything.
it's pretty ridiculous, honestly. But it's a thing. I won't lie. I'm not going to argue with it. But
yeah, like I said, I think it's just a playstyle difference. But for anyone who's new to KhaZix or isn't used to that playstyle, I think Electrocute's a lot better because it's more guaranteed.
Yeah, I would say you definitely want to be aiming for 100 plus souls, and ideally 150 plus if you're going to be taking it. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't take it.
Yeah, personally, I just prefer Electrocute because of the reliability of it. I don't think I'm much into the farming playstyle and then ganking right after. But that's just me. Yeah, I think it just comes down to playstyle.
I feel people who used to play Storm Raiders a lot more than Thunderlords would probably won't struggle as much getting used to Dark Harvest, because if you play, Thunderlord's KhaZix, you always knew KhaZix's damage with the Thunderlord's proc, but if you use Storm Maze, well, then you never had to worry about that, I guess, so you don't expect to do that extra damage, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I mean, it's about the same damage difference. Like, Thunderlords was 35 damage difference compared to Storm Raiders, and Dark Harvest is like 20 damage difference, so it's pretty much a similar damage difference between the two.
Yeah. I think that's pretty much covers all of Dark Harvest.
Yeah.
Yep.
Unless we got anything else, but...
And I feel like we wouldn't really need to go over Electrocute. It's just basically Thunderlords. Everyone's already used to that, right?
Yeah, Electrocute is standard. It's going to be your standard keystone on KhaZix. If you don't know what to take or just new to him, you can't go wrong with Electrocute, really. On pretty much any assassin, not just KhaZix.
I think the biggest difference between the two is the cooldown. Like, isn't the cooldown a lot longer? Like 50 seconds or something?
Yeah, it's 50 to 25.
It's not going to matter too much because you're probably not going to be fighting.
Yeah, the cooldown really only matters if you're a laner. That cooldown difference only matters if you're a laner. Like, if you're a jungler, that cooldown's kind of irrelevant to me. So it's actually almost better because you're doing more damage in the same time frame than you would otherwise be doing. It's just, oh no, I can't fight for 50 seconds now. Well, I wasn't planning on doing that anyway.
So, after the keystones and the domination tree, we have the other runes below it. So, what would you guys like to go over?
I mean, I think the first two are pretty basic and straightforward. Sudden Impact plus Eyeball Collector. Like, that's your basic solo queue path. There's really no reason to go either of the other two.
Sudden Impact's just, I mean, I would even go as far to say that you should take Sudden Impact 100% of the time, like, regardless.
Yeah, 100%. Like, there's no reason not to.
Yeah,
I agree.
I also enjoy Zombie Ward for jungling.
Yeah, I was about to say that as well. I think Zombie Ward's quite...
Zombie Ward's great for vision, just that extra duration.
Yeah, Zombie Ward's definitely good. The main reason I haven't liked Zombie Ward compared to Eyeball Hunters is because it's solo queue. And so having an extra 20 AD is just nice. It's free AD, basically. So that's why I like it personally.
Yeah, I feel like if you go either of those two, you can't really go wrong. But yeah. I tried Ghost Pyro, but it just seemed a bit weird to me, so I just didn't use
it's weird to use. Like, the channel time is weird. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of that, personally. For the last slot, I think there's a fair bit of diversity in what you can choose. So, like, Ingenious, Ravenous, and Relentless are all pretty good on KhaZix. Kind of depends on what you want.
I think Ingenious is only good with Predator. I wouldn't take it if you're taking any of the Keystone.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely agree. If it was regular CDR, I'd be down, but...
Oh god, that's a lot.
Like, pretty whatever.
It just gives you 40% CDR, no big deal.
That'd be alright, I'll take that.
Yeah, alright. But, as far as the Relentless...
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Go on.
As far as Relentless and Ravenous, that's kind of personal preference. Relentless definitely works better with an R-Evolve style, but the thing about Ravenous is I think it's overtuned right now, and I think it should get nerfed. So just having that extra healing, you getting a free gunblade, like if you've ever played a champion that's ever built gunblade, it feels really good to have that spell vamp. Like, the thing is, it's not noticeable, but it's there, and so you're going to heal the full off of like taking a single camp. And another thing is, if you get a mountain or two and you have Ravenous Hunter, you can basically solo Baron like at 21 minutes, like with just a mountain or two. It's so simple. It's just
done that. It's beautiful
because the true damage from mountains will heal you, and so you can just walk up and solo Baron without even caring. So Ravenous is really, really good, just because it's hidden power that people are not expecting you to have.
Yep.
And then, I mean, we're all used to out-of-combat move speed with Ghostblade and all that crap, so I mean, you don't really need to go too in-depth about that, but it's always good. I think it's just playstyle.
Yeah, I feel like Ingenious is like really good actually, but with Ravenous, like it's like I played a bit with a lot with the both of them. But yeah, I'd say Ravenous is just a lot more consistent, and it's so good because it just, even with your early clears, like the games where I had in Genius Hunt or whatever, I would have a few times where I'd be too low to gank or whatever, but with Ravenous you just don't have that problem, so I prefer it for that reason. But Ingenious was pretty good because like there was some team fights that you could use your Ghost Blade many times, and it's pretty fun. And having like a Tiamat every single time you jump was pretty great as well. But yeah,
Yeah.
I feel like you're giving up a little bit too much healing. And I thought, my first thought was, oh well, you're a KhaZix, you're pretty squishy, you don't really need the healing, but it helps a lot, a lot more than you'd think. Like even with like the early like jewels and stuff, if you get a couple of stacks early on, you just you just with your Q damage and the short cooldown on it, like it's so hard to take you off the map because you can just heal off anything like Scuttle Crab or.
I just put a video in KhaZix discussion if anyone wants to see it. That's Rek'Sai, so obviously it's a little bit different, but you can see the amount that he healed from Ravenous Hunter, and it's a huge amount. So I mean, if you guys want to take a look at that, it's going to be relatively similar to a full damage KhaZix because obviously it was a full damage Rek'Sai, but it feels really, really good to have. Just how much you heal is insane. He was healing like 60 to 80 damage per Q. So I think it's just, I mean, the stuff that you can do with that, as soon as you have 2 to 3 stacks of that, you basically solo dragon without losing any points of HP. And if you get a couple mountains, you just solo Baron. It's the freest thing ever.
Mm-hmm.
Personally, I'm a fan of the Relentless Hunter over Ravenous because I enjoy our Evolve a lot. So I don't know. I just value it out of combat, mobility a lot in my games. Yeah, just comes down to personal preference.
Yeah, I definitely think they're both strong, but if you're saying like if you can actually just solo Baron because of Ravenous Hunter stacks, I mean that's too strong. Like I'd probably take that.
Yeah, it's pretty ridiculous.
But with that being said, I probably don't see that lasting. I don't know about you guys.
No, I probably won't.
It'll probably
giving a free gun blade to people is probably not going to last.
So yeah, for now, I'd probably say Ravenous.
Has anyone stacked Ravenous with Death Stance?
I think so.
Yes, it's insane. With those two,
I haven't really had a game where I could, so just wondered how fucked it was.
Yep. So Ravenous by itself, fully stacked, is basically a Death Stance in itself, and with Death Stance, it's just you basically have 2 passives of it. So yeah, it's just insane.
Oh god, I want to try this now.
So I think something just as interesting. Are we done with the domination tree, or do we still want to go over some stuff?
I think that's pretty much it as far as domination goes.
So to me, something just as interesting would be going over the secondary tree. How do you guys feel about precision versus sorcery and etc.?
I'll say my piece on precision versus sorcery. I think sorcery is better for AP matchups because you can go nullifying orb plus something like Scorch or Transcendence or something like that. And then I think precision is better for AD matchups because you can go Coup de Grace and Triumph. Nullifying orb, like everyone knows how powerful Hexdrinker is, and so getting the passive for free is pretty fucking good. That's my opinion on it. That's what I would take in my games.
I'm a big fan of the precision tree for the secondary tree. Yeah. I think Triumph and what's the other one? Coup de Grace are going to be your. Yeah, it's going to be your standard, I think, for most new card players because it just like it screams resets for KhaZix. Like, KhaZix is one to like jump on people, kill them when they're at low health, and then reset again. You get more health. You can do the same thing. Yeah, stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So I think that just suits KhaZix perfectly.
the reset's also 15% of your missing health now instead of 5%, like the old dangerous game. So it's pretty ridiculous.
Yeah.
The only thing is you don't get mana back anymore, so you have to actually be a bit careful of that. So,
Yeah, that was actually so sad. I love Dangerous Game because it guaranteed you had mana to jump out. Oh, I missed that. I've played like 3 KhaZix games in the past couple of days, and I've died like twice already because I didn't have mana to jump back out. That was so sad.
Right. But I haven't really seen anything other than sorcery, which could be a viable option to take for your secondaries. I guess maybe something in inspiration, but yeah, I haven't really seen anything too special.
Yeah, I don't think like
any, funny builds or whatever that they're trying out in the other trees. I'd love to hear them.
I think outside of doing like for fun builds, those are going to be your 2 best bets. Either like precision is just really, really good. I just think unless you're doing it for fun build, there's no reason to go, inspiration and try some weird crap or do something like that. I don't know. I don't really think stopwatch is that useful on a jungler to get at 6 minutes. I don't really think that 5% CDR is going to be huge. So I don't know.
Yeah,
the other trees are just so good. Their precision is so good.
I didn't value inspiration at all, really. It felt kind of bad compared to the other trees. Because KhaZix doesn't really use these runes as much as the other ones, so I just feel like the other trees have better synergy.
Someone said that they saw in Korea a D2 KhaZix main was going Resolve. I mean, that's the Korean meta is a lot more slow-paced, and going tankier secondary is more understandable. I mean,
yeah, I played a few games with the Domination and Resolve. I took Iron Skin and Revitalize for my ones, and the result was actually really good. You could like take skirmishes and you would just be pretty much unkillable because you'd have like 5 armor early game, as well as the skirmisher saber, and you'd have increased healing, and that would make you win a lot of duels. So I've had pretty good success with that. So I think it's definitely a viable option. I would consider it mostly for a bruiser build, but yeah. Otherwise, I think it's pretty good.
I feel like in terms of secondary trees, like there's a pretty wide range of what you can spec into. I definitely agree, what's been said about Coup de Grace and Triumph, but so those would definitely be the strongest for me. I agree, but I think if you really wanted to experiment, and I think there's potential for like unique opportunities in most of the other trees. And I like what Tinjus said too about Iron Skin and Revitalize. I think that's a pretty good point because you're technically missing some armor from the rune change, so that could definitely be interesting to experiment with.
I was just looking at this Present of Mind rune. Instead of going Triumph, which is the restoring health after every kill or whatever, this is basically the version which just lets you get. Well, what it does is every 5 seconds after getting a takedown, any money you spend is fully restored. So that's probably not worth it, but it's there. I just sort of like to point that out.
One big problem with that rune is that it doesn't say that your mana costs are free. It restores your mana, which means you need to have enough mana initially to cast a spell. The problem with that is that it doesn't act like old Dangerous Game where you are guaranteed to reset jumping out. Not only that, by the time you get a kill, you probably already pop your W and your E, so most of your mana costs are already gone. So I don't think that rune's gonna just because of the fact that you have to have the mana to cast the spell. I don't think that rune's gonna be that great.
Yeah,
I think it'd be a lot better if it was restored 15% of your missing mana or something like Triumph.
Yeah,
that would be really interesting.
It's pretty useless compared to Triumph, but I just thought
it's useless for most champions, but I called it useless until I saw Kassadin with it. No, I'm actually terrified.
Yeah.
Oh god, yeah. That's like the only champ I can see it useful on. Apparently it's good on Lucian as well, but I don't know.
Yeah, like Ryze and Cassio. I just feel like Ka doesn't use enough mana in 5 seconds for this to really be any type of viable on him.
Yeah, I mean, like, what's his full combo? Like, WEQ's like, what, 120 mana or something?
Also, Virtuebot, were you saying that KhaZix lost armor? Because I don't think he lost armor. I think in the preseason change he got +9 armor.
You don't
really
lose
didn't?
armor.
No, yeah, KhaZix got +9 armor, so losing armor didn't do anything.
Oh, that's fucking
He got
awesome.
compensation for it.
Yeah, he got +9 armor, but he didn't get scaling health, so it's the same as having 9 armor seals.
Honestly,
So
I
that's at least one thing.
the AD and the base damages. I totally missed the armor.
Yeah.
That's dope.
So
Yeah,
did
that
we
combined
talk
with the
about-
machete change makes your first clear feel really, really good.
Did we talk about the runes and sorcery for secondary?
Oh, we did not.
No, we didn't know.
Right. Yeah, I think there are a lot of options here for sorcery.
Yep.
Obviously, nullifying orb is good. Ultimate head, I don't really see the value in it. It just
No,
feels like
that's
it doesn't do
waste.
anything. Yeah.
If you're planning on taking Ultimate Head, I would honestly just run Inspiration and get 5% CDR on all of your abilities. And then that, I mean, if you're rather than having Ultimate Head is kind of useless compared to Cosmic Insight. So if you're gonna run Ultimate Head, just go Inspiration, go into that, and get something else instead.
Hmm.
How do I feel about the 5 Black Cleaver Transcendence build?
Oh god.
Yikes.
I don't think
Not
it's
a
as
fan.
strong as people say it is, honestly. I've
Yeah.
tried it, but it
It's
just
definitely
seems
in line. If it wasn't in line, Riot would be talking about how they're going to nerf it, so it's definitely not out of line. And because it's not out of line, I don't think it's worth revolving your build around.
Just one of those like super like night blue, low elo, edgy like clickbait builds. So
pretty much, yeah.
See, the thing is, it can be good, and it's definitely better than a normal KhaZix build, but only if the game gets to 30 minutes where you can build 4 Black Cleavers. Like, otherwise, it's just a pointless setup. And you'd be better off with Dustblade, Ghostblade, and then ending the game at 25 minutes.
Definitely.
Yep.
And that's the reason I think Transcendence is not that great on KhaZix. If we're talking about sorcery runes, waiting until level 10 to get something feels pretty bad.
And I think if you're gonna be, I don't see the reason in waiting for cooldown reduction, because when you like last season when you took cooldown reduction in runes, you'd usually take it because you wanted that like early boost
Yep.
to the early game. Yep. And KhaZix
Mm.
already has a lot of cooldown reduction items because Riot just decided to slap on cooldown reduction for like every single item in the game. So I don't think CDR, I don't think it's like much of an issue. So I'd rather go Celerity or Absolute Focus instead.
I feel like the sorcery tree for secondary, at least, is probably the most well-rounded tree. Honestly, like every pass has
2 options.
pretty decent options. Yeah.
I think another thing to talk about is Scorch. Like, I think people underrate the damage you can do. Thunderlords did 35 damage or so at level 3. Scorch does 35 damage at level 3. So, if you want to talk about the damage that Thunderlords did, that's basically what it's just delayed 1 second. And Scorch will do pretty much the same damage as Coup de Grace. Like, they do the identical damage.
Mm-hmm. Scorch OP.
Yeah, Scorch is definitely really good, and it's also really, really good for early game because it's literally the same damage as Thunderlord's early game.
Yeah, people really look away from those kind of runes because, oh wow, it's only 50 damage. It doesn't mean anything, but it
really
helps
does.
them.
Yeah. No, I think Scorch is really good actually. Does that apply on multiple champions if you hit them with a W or something?
No,
Yeah.
it does.
Yeah, it's applied on ability damage.
Huh.
Yeah,
Oh,
your
that's cool.
next ability sets champions on fire, but it has a cooldown of 20 seconds. It should only be on 1 champion at a time.
Oh, I thought he just asked if it applies on ability.
Oh no, it should only you can't apply it to like all 5 champions. It should only be applicable to 1 because it's basically fresh blood except it applies on abilities instead of attacks. Like, think of it as the exact same thing as a boosted fresh blood with.
Yeah, it's really stupid on Italy, especially when you have Red Smite. I had 3 red buffs running on the enemy mid laner last game, and he just fell over. Too much CC. Or too much red buff.
I think versus AP matchups though, going nullifying or score basically gives you a free win in the jungle. Like you don't even have to. You can mess your entire combo up and win because you do it plus 30 damage and take like minus 60 damage. So you can mess your entire combo up and basically still win the fight just with those two. I think it's going to be really, really oppressive versus AP champions. So for me, Scorch plus Nullifying Orb is really, really good.
Yeah. How do we feel about Celerity and Absolute
Peak.
Focus?
God, no. Don't go Celerity.
Celerity's the move speed one, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
that's
not the-
that's the go-to one. Why would you take anything
That's
else?
not the river one. The
No,
river one,
yeah,
I feel
no,
like is
the
better.
4% increased move speed. That's like having move speed quints. It's stupid. You should always get that.
It's like having move speed quints, but why do you give a shit? Especially if you're going like R-Evolve or something. Why do you care about having 4% move
What?
speed? Like,
oh
it's
god,
not
don't,
a-
I'm sorry. I just puked a little bit. I thought you said R-Evolve. So I must have been mishearing because I know I didn't hear that.
anyway,
We're getting salty now, boys.
my
You
main problem with
especially
it is
shouldn't
like,
run that if you don't go R.
Why? You move faster all the time.
Yeah.
I mean,
personally
I just like,
yeah.
yeah, it's like I'm not saying it's a bad room, but you have to think about what are you giving up to take it, and
You're not giving up anything. You're giving up move speed in river or some shit, and it gives you like a little AD when you're in river or something. And then I don't even know what the other one is. That's how bad it is.
Absolute focus.
Is that the one where like no, that's not the one as game time goes
You
on.
like, if you have a certain amount of health, you gain 24 AD.
Oh, well, what the hell? Who's building health?
So it's like, yeah,
no, it means if you're above a percentage of your max health.
yeah.
Sorry, Rob Hockey didn't graduate preschool.
Nah, I mean, how often are you going to be above 70% HP in the jungle until maybe like 30 minutes into the game?
Ravenous Hunter can say hi to that.
Okay, yeah, but you until 30 minutes into the game, your Ravenous Hunter isn't going to do anything until you get it stacked, which won't be till later, right?
I mean, even with 1 to 2 stacks, like 2 stacks, if you kill 2 of the enemies, that's 7.5% spell vamp. If your Q does, if you're taking out a Grump which has like 1200 health, you're gonna heal an extra 100 HP from that. Like just from Ravenous Hunter, it's fairly significant, even early on with just 1 to 2 stacks.
All right. So, does that do it for that little debate? Because Cyclone was a
so.
question.
I don't think it really will, because I think on these runes there won't be an optimal. I think it'll change. And so I think as far as sorcery goes, you can take a lot of different stuff in sorcery and still pull it off. Precision's really the only one where it's Triumph plus Coup de Grace. There's really no reason to go anything else in that tree.
Oh, someone stole my Penta.
There's it's also important to consider that, like, yeah, it's still the pre-season, so Riot can still like do a complete fucking 180 or like completely change things. So what we're saying now might be completely different in a month. We don't know what's going to happen.
So I wanted to put a little bit of input with Celerity. Hi.
Yeah.
I've been taking it a lot recently because I feel like the extra move speed, since it's constant, it's not out of combat, it's like really nice. It's kind of like having the quints, like Rob Hockey was saying. But the really good thing, about it, I think, is that 8% of your bonus move speed gives you adaptive AD, and I found that coming out of stealth, whether you have R-Evolve or not, you'll get easily over 15 AD just having level 2 boots, Yomu's, and your R-Evolve, or the R-Stealth coming out of it. So that ends up scaling a lot for your burst whenever you come out of stealth, even if you're doing a skirmish or if you just want to assassinate someone and then leap out.
That's my boy, spitting knowledge right there.
Yeah, I definitely...
Sorry, go ahead.
No,
I'd also like to let you know that one Cloud Drake gives you 2 AD, so now Cloud Drake gives you damage. You're welcome.
I think the big thing about Celerity, like taking it over other options, is that bonus will go away as soon as your R ends. Like you'll get it on your first auto if you auto them before your R ends, obviously, but if you Q them after, if you auto them again after, then it's not like that bonus stays there for the entire fight. So you end up losing like 5 AD off the bat. So I don't think it should really be looked at as a damage rune. Like
I think its main benefit is the move speed.
yeah,
over the
it's there are very few champions that really benefit from that as a damage rune. Like Italy, Singe, there are very few champions that actually benefit from that as a damage rune.
So from that tree, would you recommend? Because I've been taking Gathering Storm as a secondary one. So would you recommend like Nullifying Orb, Transcendence, even Absolute Focus? Like which
Do
one?
not take Gathering Storm ever. That is a waste of time.
Think so?
I mean,
Yes.
unless the game's like 40 plus minutes.
Even if the game's 40 plus minutes, you have to think about it like this. If you have a 40-minute game, that rune is irrelevant until 30 minutes, which means that your keystone will be relevant for 25% of your game. Do you really want to have a rune that's relevant for 25% of
Yeah.
your game? God,
Yeah, you're
no.
right. Even then,
Like-
by the time you get to 40 minutes, the damage.
Yeah, it's like,
the keystone
yes,
you would
it
have
is
had
right.
already outweighs it.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, yes, it definitely does help in a 40-plus minute game, but even then, if your game lasts 42 minutes, you have all of 2 minutes with that bonus AD.
I think you
so,
could even go as far to say your game shouldn't even be lasting that long.
yeah, they should.
My average
Yeah, it
game
shouldn't
time
be.
is legit like 18 minutes.
Okay. Thank you guys for your input.
No, thank
problem.
you, good sir.
Jorkuli, your mic is kind of
I muted him.
fuzzy.
Yeah, I muted him. His mic's messed up.
Yeah. So let's see. We could go over some of the other questions we had. Someone asked a pretty generic question. They said, "Evolve order Q or no Q," and that's it.
Q.
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 Let's say I muted you.
I like
Kill
Q.
the fuck.
If you're completely new, don't know how car works or whatever, or just don't know what to evolve, just go Q. Can't
And
go
if
wrong.
you're really experienced, you should also go Q.
Yeah.
Or if you feel mercy,
I
you
think
go.
you should always go Q. Unless you're playing, or unless you're smurfing in gold or something.
If you're
That's my
smurfing, you
point.
could always start off by just not evolving anything till level 16, and then when you get to level 16, you could get all of them. So you're never at a disadvantage for not having Q. You know.
I think the evolutions haven't changed going into preseason. It's still sort of the same old thing. You
Yep.
evolve the R if you want to gank like a madman and all that, or if you're behind, or if you want to play more farm and objective controlled and counter jungling, dueling, you go Q.
I think Dark Harvest, like if you're going Dark Harvest, you really need to evolve your wings, like 11 or 6. You can't take it 16 in my opinion.
I mean, that's just like general for solo queue. I would never take wings at 16, always at 11. Like, in
I've
my
been
opinion,
putting-
for evolutions, evolving wings at any time other than 11 is a waste of time, I think.
I think W evolve is really good if you're behind actually. Like I win a lot of games just taking it when my team is like super bad and we need to like stall the game or something.
Yeah, I've been putting more emphasis on different evolutions at level 11 compared to Evolve D because I just like, for me right now it's just completely situational. I usually evolve R first and then I can decide between Q, W, or E afterwards. It makes a lot of sense for me. It's like, oh, do I need dueling power? Do I think Evolve W would help in this situation? Or do I think resets would be good because I'm ahead? Or things like that. That's the way I've been judging my evolutions. Just based on what you need. But yeah, there's a lot of diversity, I think, right now.
So I wasn't here from the start, but did you talk about like the cheap shot versus sudden impact in the?
Never take cheap shot.
Oh no, cheap shot, no.
Yeah, I
Sudden
haven't
impact,
taken it
100%.
a single time, but like I've seen on like champion.gg that most people take it, which I found like.
Because most people are dumb.
It is like it's not bad, just the other one's better. It's like going Dark Harvest instead of Thunderlord. Sure, Dark Harvest is all right, but
I
I mean,
wouldn't even say it's. I wouldn't even say it's not bad because the other one's better. I would just say it's fucking bad. It's like what 15 true damage versus 10 lethality.
it's like running
That's
Predator. Like Predator isn't bad, but I mean, no, actually, the best example for it is running like Comet or what's that other one that's super OP? Airy. Like sure, Comet's good, but the problem with Comet is that it's balanced and Aery's broken. So why would you go Comet?
Has anyone tried Aery on KhaZix, by the way?
What? No.
I want to try it in mid lane. It looks like fun.
Would Aery give you a shield if you W'd
If
or
you
whatever?
heal yourself, it should, but it would damage them first, so area will go to them.
I know there was a post on the subreddit
Oh yeah, true. Yeah,
asking
makes
about
sense.
lane per Kha'Zix or the return of that with
yeah.
Aery and W evolve. It sounds fun, but I don't know how that would work.
I feel bad for
Just
Waffle
play
because his
Jace.
career ended this season with the destruction of Storm Raiders.
Mate, the bugs are over, mate. The legacy will continue. The Diamond fucking 3 prodigy, that's hard stuff. Actually, now Diamond 4. Don't fucking count me out, boys. Don't count me out. I will say Diamond 3.
Are you gonna still continue the Storm Raiders Kha'Zix reign?
If it gets buffed, yes.
I mean,
I really
Until
hope
then,
they
I'll
buff
be
the Storm Raider.
resetting with Dark Harvest or whatever.
I haven't even dared to try it. It seems so fucking bad.
It's
Oh,
a
yeah,
bit
sure.
depressing for me, but it kind of works, but it's, I don't know.
Yeah, like I perma-played the Storm Raider before, but I haven't even touched anyone. I'm too afraid. Like the new other Electrocute just seems so much better.
Yeah, I don't think Phase Rush is good on basically
Anyone?
champion, especially
anyone.
Yeah.
Also,
it's all right on Rise.
But
The other thing with
even
Phase
on
Rush,
Rise,
which
it doesn't
was-
give enough movement speed, and it doesn't give the slow reduction, which is a massive thing for Storm Raiders Surge before.
Yeah.
Where taking it on ranged champions, you still got that slow reduction, so you could reposition in fights. And yeah, you get that on melee champions, but a lot of melee champions don't want to proc it now because it's just completely underwhelming compared to the other options that
Yeah,
you
but it's like 15% move speed or something at level 1.
Yeah, it's
biggest.
it's minuscule level 1. Like you don't even notice the difference.
Yeah, and the biggest thing which I didn't mention before was with Phase Rush or Storm Raiders or whatever, you have to go down the sorcery tree. So it limits your options. Like for your secondary runes, you can't have both Ravenous Hunter and Triumph or whatever. You have to pick one or the other. And the sorcery tree, in my opinion, is a bit less inferior to precision and not really precision, but more domination. You just get too much from domination, in my opinion. So
I agree.
Um,
Domination is
Like,
really,
especially,
really
like,
powerful.
The first 3 runes in the sorcery tree are like really bad on KhaZix.
Yeah, I mean,
Because they're like
there's a few
nullifying
niche
orb
ones,
is
but
pretty situational.
Yeah, nullifying orb is really, really powerful, but only if you're against an AP jungler. If you're not, it's just a waste of time.
Yeah, and the other 2 are like really weak on KhaZix, so
and if
I
you
agree.
take sorcery first, you're basically shoehorned into domination second.
What's Nullifying Orb? Oh,
yeah.
Nullifying orb is Hex Drinker passive.
Yeah.
oh, that sounds.
I mean, it's very good against AP junglers.
It's very good against AP junglers because when you have 600 HP, getting shielded for 60 HP is pretty big, actually.
It allows you to survive Elise early, basically, is what it does.
Yeah, against Elise, Evelyn, and Italy, basically gives you free duels. Like you don't even have to try. Even Elise, I would say, just it's free.
I mean, you still have to be afraid of Elise early, like level 1, 2, 3, because she will. I mean, level 2 and 3, because she will just out damage you a little bit. But taking Nullifying Orb really secures that early game and doesn't allow her to bully you as much, and allows you to get to later points in the game where you can start Wing away the Spiderlings to kill her, and then once you can get past the early game, you've basically won that matchup on KhaZix. And for champions like Elise Nidalee and Evelyn, those are matchups you won before having Nullifying Orb one if you played them correctly. Now you can make 2 mistakes and still win the matchup.
Yeah, like
So-
Nidalee is a skill matchup for KhaZix. I think it still is a skill matchup, but Nullifying Orb makes it less so.
Yeah,
All of the AP matchups are skill matchups besides Evelyn, I'd say.
yeah.
Evelyn doesn't really count because everyone beats Evelyn. Like
yeah.
Sejuani beats Evelyn. Let's be real.
But with the Nidalee matchup before, you had to dodge the first spear. If you got hit by the first spear, you were hosed. But now you can take the first spear if it's not like a max range spear. If it's a medium range spear, you can take the first spear and you can still win the matchup.
Yeah, it's pretty ridiculous.
Yeah.
And then mid game, you can still go. You can also go Hex Drinker and then just pile on even more. And it's like, oh, you can't kill me.
Yeah, especially if they have an AP top or mid, then you can basically just free reign on the top side of the map. If they have an AP jungler and top AP or mid, you basically have free reign on the top side of the map because there's no way that their jungler is going to be able to shut you out with Hex Drinker and Nullifying Orb.
Yep.
So does that wrap up that thought on Nullifying Orb and the sorcery tree?
I'd say so.
Scorch is OP. Scorch.
Yeah, I agree. Scorch is really, really underrated.
Yeah,
I have Scorch. This is photographic evidence. I snowballed the entire game off just having Scorch.
No, Scorch is an absolutely insane early game. If you're playing any jungler, not just KhaZix, but any jungler that relies on any sort of early game pressure, taking Scorch will just, if you don't take Scorch, you lose so much power that you need on that early game. And even on KhaZix, who isn't necessarily an early game jungler, having Scorch allows you to get an even bigger lead in early game matchups that you necessarily don't win, but you can go even. Now you're starting to win these because of Scorch itself.
Yeah. I mean, it's basically like thinking about taking Fresh Blood, except amplify Fresh Blood by 3 times, and you've got Scorch. So, I mean, it's a pretty big difference.
Is there anything else to cover for runes, or anything we haven't covered?
That should do it, I think.
Also, Rob Scorch will proc Runic Echoes, in case you were wondering.
Sounds like a good time.
Ooh.
I played an Italy game before. This Fizz had to have been at like a quarter HP. Autoed him twice with the red smite and red buff, and he just ticked down to 0. So much dot damage, it was insane.
Yeah.
It's also.
So has anyone actually tried Inspiration yet? Like moving on from Sorcery and Precision, has anyone actually tried Inspiration to any extent?
As a secondary?
I've tried it in the secondary tree.
Yeah, of course it's a secondary. I don't think anyone's going to be taking Unsealed Spellbook or any of that bullshit.
It's completely inferior to like sorcery or precision, I think.
I think the only reason that you would possibly take it is for futures market. That is.
Yeah. I tried that and trying to rush warrior, but like I don't know. I just did not feel good.
Yeah, I think because you can have a full gold income and you don't need to rely on futures market to push you over large item breakpoints like you would on a support. It's completely underwhelming because you're not relying on it to get warrior. You're instead of relying on it to get warrior, you take another camp. And if you don't have a camp, then you wait for it. Like I don't think that taking futures market just to push you slightly closer to your breakpoint is really going to make a difference. Especially when you can take something in a different tree, and there's not really anything else in this tree that's like super spectacular. Like Cosmic Insight's the only other thing in this tree that's even worth looking at, and I don't think that's good enough.
Yeah.
Cyclone did say that there was a Diamond 2 Korean KhaZix player that was doing the summoner spell thingo where you can switch your summoner spells out.
No, he was talking about the resolve tree, the tenacity after using summoner spells or when summoner spells are on.
Oh, okay, yeah, yep. True. I was thinking, I'm like, how the hell do you like change out smite for ghosts or something? Like, I couldn't make sense of it, but now that makes sense. Okay.
I think if you're looking at that, then you're going red smite, black cleaver, sort of a bruiser-ish build, and at that point you're not playing the same kind of KhaZix that we've been talking about this entire time. I think you're playing a completely different kind of KhaZix that is a lot more suited to what?
Not Blue 3 KhaZix, Matt. The bruiser one.
You're playing a sort of KhaZix that's a lot more suited to getting, like, literally not taking kills at any point in the game. Like, you're taking a KhaZix that is built for the team instead of building for yourself, which in solo queue isn't really as much of an option, especially for those of us below like Diamond 2, where we can't necessarily rely on our teammates to be spectacular.
Yeah.
Where's my dangerous game? That's what I would like to know.
Triumph is close enough.
Triumph.
No,
You don't get the
no,
mana back.
no. Health does not help you jump out. No. If I'm I can't jump just because I got more HP.
I don't know. I
Nah,
personally
mate.
haven't had a
Presence of
problem
mind.
with running out of
Presence of
mana
mind,
on this
man.
patch.
I've had
Yeah,
dangerous
neither have
games
I.
since season 3. Season 3. Where'd it go? Been playing the game for 5 years with that. That's like taking jungle items out of the game.
Oh wait, they did that once.
That's like taking me out of Diamond and putting me in Masters. It just doesn't fucking happen, mate.
Holy fuck, dude.
Nah, but I feel your pain a little bit. It's a bit brutal to get used to, but yeah, honestly, I thought I'd be running out of mana all the time, been like fucking myself, but it hasn't really happened.
I've lost like 3 pentakills because I couldn't jump. I couldn't move. Can't go anywhere.
Buy Sheen, mate. Buy Sheen. Get that extra mana. Get that auto proc.
Rob, try
Classic
Presence
Dark
of Mind.
Harvest. The Dark Harvest, Triforce, Dustblade, passive
Presence of
proc.
Mind?
You do
What
like
is-
50
what tree is that
damage.
Or you just don't give your mid laner blue buffs.
That too.
I already don't do that.
Doesn't.
The first mid laner to get a blue buff of this year was Linsanity the other day. I thought, he's like rank 4 on the ladder. I thought, maybe this guy could do something with a blue buff. Just maybe.
And that's where you were wrong.
No, he popped off.
Yeah. If your mid's popping off, giving him blue buff's probably not a bad idea, but
Especially on Rise. That champ's busted.
God, yeah.
I think we're done for runes, are we?
What about clear paths? There's only one right answer.
Blue wolves, red gank, or red blue wolves gank, or red.
Full clear, baby. Oh, we're against Lululex. Let's go. Full clear every game. Unless you know you're getting a kill. Nah, because if you do the 3 camp clear and you go to gank, and if you get nothing from that gank, or worse, you waste your time and you don't have enough health now to go back into your jungle and finish your camps, the other jungler is going to take all your camps and now you're done for the game.
You can also just 3 camp and invade. It's also an option. I mean, you don't have to full clear, because even if you don't have a gank opportunity, you can just invade. And KhaZix is a relatively fast clear with Machete right now, so you're finishing. KhaZix is like 5th fastest jungler or something.
He has a very fast clear with Machete.
Mark, how do you feel about Comet Nidalee?
Are you autistic? What?
Oh, no, I'm not the autistic one. Apparently, my boy Lulu didn't get the memo. Yikes. Isn't that C9's analyst? Or a coach?
I don't know, but
Player.
anyway, like if you do a 3 camp, you are funneled into either invading or ganking after. But I mean, that doesn't mean you can't just walk back into your jungle and clear. Like, it's not stopping you from that.
If you lose your
40
camps
or something clear.
If you lose your camps, though, you are really done.
Well, yeah, but it just like if your gank doesn't work out or if your invade doesn't work out, it doesn't guarantee that you're low enough that you can't just walk back into your jungle and clear a camp. If you die, sure, but if you die, that's your own damn fault, and you deserve to lose your camps.
Not doing
All
full
right.
clears is too spooky, IMO.
So, other than just saying full clear, what would you say would be an example clear? Like, what's your exact thought process behind, I'm going to start off with the full clear, and if I see an opportunity, I could get, more camps here, invading, or what's the exact thought process behind the pathing, other than just saying, I'm going to full clear?
I mean, I think that's game dynamic. I don't think you can really make a general statement about that ever. Because
That's what I'm saying, including dynamics. So, give an example.
I mean, I'd say always clear the first side that you're on, and then you can look to see what's happening in the game in order to what you're going to do next. So, like, I'm on red side right now. I'm going to start at blue and do my 3 camps. and then I'll walk to Raptors, and if I feel like whatever the lanes are, I'm so good. Oh God.
Okay.
That sidestep was disgusting. If you're heading to red buff, then you can do your Raptors if the lanes are pushing or whatever. Or if you don't think there's anything you can gank, like this game I have Zed versus Ryze. So maybe I could look to gank that at level 3 after I do red or something. But like,
yeah,
I don't know, like, just
Is Raptor start?
just
good?
no, that's
You don't
you don't do that anymore.
You
Yeah, I
don't
haven't tried that.
the small ones anymore.
I didn't
There's
realize you didn't go level 2 anymore until I tried it once. I was like, oh wait, this is terrible.
There's also another greedy clear you can do is Wolves Blue Gromp or Wolves Gromp Blue, then you get Scuttle or you just recall, and you have an extra longsword and you have full red buff uptime for your then you just walk to red buff and you have full red buff uptime. It's a little bit slower than just 6 camp clearing, but you have full red buff uptime as opposed to having red buff, a third of the way gone.
Well, that's not
pretty
bad.
similar to the clear.
I find it takes a while to kill the wolves.
There was
Like,
a similar clear like before where you did Raptors red buff Krugs, then you recalled to get longsword, then you did Wolves blue.
Yeah, that's still.
Then you stole the enemy Raptors, and that was basically the clear I did to get to diamond.
Yeah, that's also.
I know Kirei does that
Same
every
exact
game.
thing. Like
Yes,
doing a
like,
Raptor
yeah,
star,
Counter
doing Raptor red Wolves blue Gromp, that clear is dead because you don't get level 4 off it anymore. That clear is completely dead, but you can still do Raptors red Krogs recall or Wolves blue Gromp recall. Both of those are optional. You can do red Wolves blue, blue Wolves red, or 6 camp blue to Krogs.
Yeah, but I think if you're gonna do one of the 3 camp back and then clear the other side, you want to do the wolf blue gromp one.
I mean, it really depends on what side you want to end up on. If I have like fucking Nasus top, you bet your ass I'm not starting. I'm not starting my bot side so I can end top side. I'm gonna start my top side so I can end bot side. Like, it really depends on the matchups at that point.
I think you should always just start at a buff. Like, why start at wolves when you can start at blue, get the 10% CDR going early, and then you'll have faster clear overall.
The important part is because when you finish your clear, you have recall, so you have an extra 10 AD. Like, that's not an insignificant amount of AD that early in the game. So you've got an extra 10 AD, so if you meet the enemy jungler, you've got 75.
Depend on the game. And of course, what the enemy jungler is doing. I mean, I don't think really you can say one of these paths is objectively better. In my personal experience, I do a full clear, either full clear or invade. And obviously, if you see a gank opportunity that you can guarantee the kill, you can play around that. I think most importantly, what I would emphasize is that you have to manage your risk a little bit differently this season, especially when it comes to going for unsuccessful ganks. Because you're giving up a lot more for those now, since you don't have catch-up experience to fall back on. So with that being said, I think the full clear is probably one of your safest bets, but that doesn't mean that you ignore plays on the map, and that doesn't mean that you ignore gank opportunities, invade opportunities, especially invades, because invades right now, I think, are going to be huge this whole season.
Invades right now are dangerous. You're actually risking the entire game on that one invade. Like, before, you could potentially snowball the game off an invade, and if it didn't work out, maybe you died or something, you could get back in the game. If you fail an invade now, you lose.
Yeah, but I'd argue you can snowball it harder now.
You can snowball it harder, but you're risking way more, because if you fail it, you actually lose. Like, there's no coming back from that.
I mean, you're playing KhaZix, you're playing a high-risk, high-reward jungler. Like, I don't know what you want. You're literally playing one of the most high-risk reward junglers in the game.
You can evaluate the risk beforehand either way. I mean,
yeah, I mean, if your laners are pushed into their turret, I'm gonna go walk into the enemy jungle and invade herder. Like, that's obviously fucking. Go for smart invades, but the reward potential is really, really high right now because the enemy jungler doesn't have the potential of having so much comeback experience. And when you have a jungler like KhaZix that, if the champion is under 50%, at any stage in the game, you can one-combo them. At level 3, you can one-combo someone at around 50% health. So, at the end of a jungler's clear, especially weaker junglers, you will one-combo them when if you meet them in their jungle when they are level 3, finishing their clear. So I think it's really important because, like, you're playing a higher score jungler that really benefits from these early game one combo potentials. And it's just, if you're not making these aggressive moves and you're just going to that pussy full clear every game style, well, fucking have fun when you go against a jungler that is now active on the map and is 2-0 by 3.5 minutes when you're finishing your Krugs. I mean, good luck, dude. He played it smarter than you did when you could have gone in and into his jungle and killed him at level 3, and now you're 2-0 at 3 minutes, 4 minutes. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I really just don't think you can just default to one thing all the time. I think that's going to be wrong no matter what you're defaulting to. If it's one path, there's going to be situations where it's not going to be optimal.
I mean, I start looking.
Personally, I don't like invading. I've lost several games because of.
Yeah, I stopped doing it. I was losing so many games.
Yeah, I lost heaps.
I was three camping, like doing the same thing I was doing last season. I lost pretty much every game. It's very risky.
I guess you just gotta
like coin flipping
at the
every
start
game.
of each game. You just gotta assess the team compositions and just assess what the level 3 is going to look like, and ask yourself questions like, can you win the 2v2 top? Can you defeat the enemy jungler in a 1v1 if you do invade? And then based on that information, decide if you want to do a full clear, a 3 camp, or whatever.
I would encourage invading at like level 6, because then obviously you've got your ultimate, you might have an evolution or whatever.
Later invades are really good.
Yeah, you can
Definitely.
you've got more resources available to actually escape and fight. So I think it's a lot safer.
Free camp, like Rengar, for example, I feel like that's a super easy matchup for doing the free camp clear and just invading. It's like he has no chance of killing you 1v1 level 3, unless you fuck up majorly.
Yeah. And there was one thing which kind of ties into invading and all that. How have people had success with the new Poacher's Dirk or whatever? Because there was a bit of discussion about that, and I've tried it a little bit myself, and it seems alright, but I don't know, it doesn't seem broken or anything. But have you guys had any success with it?
Never tried it, to be honest.
I've tried it, but like I feel like it's better after your first lethality item from when I've tried it. Because getting the early Dirk is like really nice for your damage. But like once you already got Duskblade, you can just pick it up with some cheap gold and just invade, because you're already ahead at that point.
Yeah, I mean, I think if it ever comes to a point where you're like, oh, I only need one more camp, let me not buy this Dirk so I can get Duskblade, it's like, well, you just set yourself back because now you're relying on your Poacher's Dirk to... And so, I mean, I feel like it can be good, but unless you're getting like that Poacher's Dirk done and you've counter jungled 4 camps before you finish Warrior plus Duskblade, or if you finish half of Duskblade even, so you're talking like 12 to 14 minutes into the game, you need to have counter jungled 4 camps after buying Poachers. I think if you're not doing that, you have to wait until second item, and if you're waiting until second item, the value of it is not as much. So I think it's hard to say. It can definitely be good. It's like if you're snowballing, you can just buy Poacher's Dirk, and you can just walk into the enemy jungle and be like, hi, I'm taking a shit. What are you going to do about it? And that's fine and all. It's just, by the time it's actually useful, like that extra gold value is not as important. So it's kind of like a gold stink that doesn't majorly benefit you early, which is kind of harsh. It's like the same idea as like going, some random shit like Hunter's Potion. Like it's a gold stink that doesn't actually benefit you a ton. And so it's kind of like, well, if it doesn't benefit me a ton, why am I doing it? I need to be good I need to be as good as I can as early as possible.
Yep.
I feel like if you get it... Sorry, go on.
I think it's really good to pick up, like you can get Dirk and you can pick up like the Purchase Dirk, and then you have both of them. And then whilst you're getting your first Duskblade, you're still stacking up to get your second Dirk. So when you recall, you'll have Duskblade and a Dirk. I feel like that's the only way I would pick it up.
That's
because
the way
I would
it
never
makes sense. But by doing that, now you have the possibility. You're not necessarily guaranteeing, but you have the possibility of backing on, or of not having 700 gold to finish your Duskblade, and instead you have 3 camps towards a Dirk, and you're missing that. You're missing that power spike of Duskblade, which is like probably one of the biggest power spikes right now. Is that Duskblade, because you're gaining extra damage for your combo. You're gaining the ability to just walk around the map and clear wards. I think that if you can guarantee that you're going to get the camps to transform the Dirk, then picking up the poacher's Dirk is insane. But I don't think that there's ever going to be a point in the game where you can guarantee that if you're not already just completely demolishing the enemy jungler.
The problem I have with items like that is that it's like the kindred effect. You feel like you need to do this, where before, without that item, you think, oh, maybe I can grab a camp here. Now you have it in your head. You need to get those camps. It's not about wanting to get them anymore.
Yeah.
I agree.
And it telegraphs what your intentions are to the enemy a little bit too hard as well. Even though you could just buy it and have no intention of invading, but then again, if you do that, what's the point in buying the item? You're just delaying your own power spikes. But yeah,
I feel like silver or something. It's probably a good item because you sink that 500 gold and invades aren't as punished because laners don't move anywhere near as fast as they need to. But once you start playing with people who know how to move around the map a little bit more and pay attention to their mini map, it suddenly becomes like the riskiest item you can buy because you're setting yourself out that 500 gold from an item and you're telegraphing that you need to be in the enemy jungle. So a good support is going to see that and start warding their own jungle instead of placing aggressive wards elsewhere on the map, and you're going to get punished by that.
So from there, does that pretty much does that conclude that thought right there? Should we move on to a new topic?
I'd say we covered everything pretty much, yeah.
All right. So we went over pretty much all the runes. We went over the item changes, or very little item changes, I guess. Basically just a Dirk, right? That was the only significant change that we got.
Yep.
So from there, we have the KhaZix Chroma. How do you guys feel about that?
Baby.
It's
fuck the baby.
Skin still sucks.
Skin's better because the base update they did, but I mean the Chroma's awesome. It's another KhaZix skin. I think everyone here can agree that anytime KhaZix gets another skin, it's a good thing.
Yep, it's amazing.
There was a thing on the PvE where now your wings have the same color as the Chroma. So like if you went purple KhaZix, you'd have purple wings or whatever when you evolve your ult. It's only when you evolve your ult.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something that's quite nice. But even before, like when people go on, oh well, you fucking evolve your R and you lose to Chrome. What's the point? Well, like, and everyone's like, oh well, it's just a cop out.
Just don't evolve R. It's so fucking bad.
But I don't know, everyone was like giving right shit for it's a cop out excuse. It's because of what's the word? Clarity. But like it is like you can't argue. Like imagine if like the blue KhaZix when you evolve ult he goes yellow or whatever, but there's a yellow Chroma and it's like what? Like you can't. It'd be like a pay to win skin, you know.
I feel like it's super hypocritical though because Mecha Malphite, it does the same thing and it changes like color of the passive on every Chroma.
Yeah.
So it just doesn't make sense how they they don't change it for KhaZix, but they do it for Malphite and Aatrox, or not the Aatrox, the Malphite one.
I think
they've done it now, so I mean, all's well, I guess.
Yeah, no, it's cool now, and especially since they've made it so the wings change color in your ult. That's pretty sweet. That's the change I kind of wanted to see, but it wasn't even necessary, honestly. But they've done it, so they've gone the extra mile. So cheers, right? Thumbs up, buddy.
Good, I think the biggest thing wise that changes with the new skin is that there are more people trying KhaZix. So even in ranked, there are people with inexperience on KhaZix. So those are free wins. So just take advantage of that.
Sweet.
And
I actually haven't seen anyone play KhaZix with the Chromas.
I don't think
seriously.
I don't think it's.
Yeah, I haven't seen any.
There have been quite a few in my games, and
I just think people think he's OP overall, or he's rather OP. Like
he
right now.
is definitely OP now.
Yeah, how do we feel about Kha right now?
S tier. Like he's one of the best junglers right now that you can play.
Definitely S tier.
Like
When he's being banned, I do not like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they should nerf him, so only I will play.
Well, he was
I mean,
strong before the new runes,
Maybe
but the
too
thing
much
is, the
dominance.
runes made him
Yeah,
busted.
I know.
So they should nerf the runes before they nerf him.
You just don't nerf his Q damage.
Seriously.
I'm just so fucking glad that the Lulu Ardent Sentiment is fucking gone. Literally, last season, half the season was probably my worst time playing League ever. It was fucking horrendous.
You mean because you couldn't
Like-
kill anyone?
Yes, that's... How can I be the big waff if I'm not fucking killing people and getting the big Monty plays in my normal games? Like, fuck off. Fucking bullshit. Fucking
Anyway.
my YouTube career. Piss off.
Before we're too off
Nah,
topic,
like-
there's two questions in KhaZix discussion I wanted to talk about real quick because we're kind of reaching the end of the time limit here. So before we get too off topic, I don't want to end too late. So question I've asked the best and worst matchups for KhaZix. So where do you guys' opinion are like worst three, best three, and then skill matchups?
I think right now
I
Ezreal was like an easy piece of shit to deal with, even though he's annoying. Like he's so squishy, you can just jump on him and he'll die.
Who?
Ezreal.
A lot of people
Ezreal.
struggle. Yeah, people struggle with Ezreal because they just get poked down by his Qs. But if you just jump on him, like use Fog of War correctly, use abuse invisibility, you should have no problem with him. So I think Ezreal's really easy.
In
My
the Ezreal
main
matchup,
problem
I'm
with
afraid he
Ezreal
was
is
Flash
his
early.
mobility, honestly.
Yeah.
And even if I save my leap and get on him first, like I've even lost fights then. I don't know if I'm misplaying it or whatever, but I don't know. He just does so much fucking damage, that little cunt. Shit, sorry. But fucking shits me. But anyway, I don't know. I'm probably just bad, so.
I think Shyvana is really, really scary with the new runes.
Yeah,
that's
Shyvana's another one that benefited a lot from the new runes.
I think
Yeah, I think
just
she's
like how
really
we predicted.
broken.
Yeah, I think Elise is also another sort of difficult matchup early, but taking Nullifying Orb really, 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 really helps in that matchup.
I don't think it's
Yeah.
that hard anymore.
I don't enjoy Rengar personally, just because
think
of how
Rengar's-
little counterplay he has.
I think
like-
his level 3 is pretty exploitable.
I just feel like, well, if he jumps on you, you kind of die because you get busted down. But that's just me. I've always struggled with Rengar
I
personally.
always invade Rengar level 3 and roll off that, but maybe just Diamond 5 US or something.
He's pretty free to kill early, like
Yeah.
around 6 pre-6, especially when you're 6 before him if you get an XP lead. That's definitely the time to get an advantage, and if you secure that advantage, he shouldn't one-shot you really at any point since you're ahead.
Rengar's level
Hmm.
6 also doesn't give him an advantage in the 1v1, right? So using the level 6 to punish him is actually just the best thing you can do against Rengar.
I think I know why. It's because Tinjus evolves ult, you know? It doesn't get into combat benefit.
It becomes a pretty hard matchup
Yeah.
if you're the one that dies early and he gets the lead because
I think it's just my playstyle in general that struggles to deal with him.
I don't really think there are many difficult matchups for KhaZix right now.
Nidalee is a troublesome one if she gets ahead of you.
Yeah,
But,
Just play versus Shyvana with
otherwise,
like press the attack thing because she procs it twice with her Q. It's actually so fucking impossible.
well, I haven't had to play against a Shyvana yet, so I can't speak on that.
Rek'Sai for matchups. How do you feel about Rek'Sai? Anyway,
I think Rek'Sai is sick.
Rek'Sai is
Ah.
definitely good.
Rek'Sai
Rek'Sai
is really
is
hard
good.
because if the Rek'Sai is good, she'll interrupt your E, and that stops your combo potential. But the Rek'Sai has to be good because Rek'Sai can just right-click you while she's burrowed, and if you ever try to jump on her, she'll interrupt your E. So it really just depends on how good the Rek'Sai is. I think that's a skill matchup.
Yeah,
I
and
think
Bad
Fog on
Rek'Sais
that
are
one's
super,
important.
super easy to win versus. You just straight up walk up and kill him.
Yeah, or if they're bad and they don't know how to use their W vision, you just stand still and they walk right into you.
I feel like
feel that.
matchup wise, I feel like there isn't like a counter to KhaZix. I feel like there's just harder skill matchups, you know what I mean? You just
Yeah,
have to play them
yeah.
correctly, and that's it.
I think that's a side effect of him just being so good right now. Is that there's not really matchups that you look at and you say, oh, I cannot win this.
Yeah.
The classic.
how about Udyr?
Udyr's interesting. He's basically the champion itself right now. He's just a discount KhaZix because he runs up to you, he bursts you, but that's the thing. He has to run up to you. He doesn't have any real gap closers. So you have to abuse the fact that, you could jump over walls, you go invisible, your burst is faster. If he gets a lead, then you just have to be careful. You have to make sure you don't die to him 1v1 especially. And if you get a lead over him, he's insanely easy to crush.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing in the Udyr matchup is utilizing the fact that it's Udyr, and he literally just has to walk everywhere.
Dude,
You never-
it's just a
you never
fucking
have to
slow
fight
master
Udyr.
Yi without a gap close. Like, I don't know. If he gets ahead, like, you can't beat him in a 1v1 because it's Udyr, but
Yeah, but you don't
same
have to
time,
fight
man.
Udyr
Fucking
most of the time.
Udyr, like, yeah, I don't know.
You have a way to get over walls is the big thing. So I mean, if the Udyr gets ahead, yeah, you're suddenly going to lose in 1v1s, but you don't have to take these 1v1s that he's going to force on you, because he's going to blow flash to try and chase you. And he only has, I don't know, 5-minute cooldown. So it's
W evolution, just evolve W.
yeah.
You can't do shit.
I think that the Udyr matchup is completely dependent on how bad you are and not how good the Udyr is, because Udyr only has so many ways to get to you, and that's press E. And you can just walk away from him. So
You definitely have to be careful at certain points. Just take your fights opportunistically, and you'll win.
I mean, don't play like a fucking moron. That's the biggest way that you can win the Udyr matchup. Is playing properly with vision and fog of war. And that's the way that you win a lot of matchups. Is just auto winning those with vision and fog of war, and your stealth is super important.
Yep.
What about, okay, here's a big one, especially as of lately. What about Kane?
Kane's easy. He has
Kane.
0 dual potential early. He's got as much dual potential as Devil in early. He clears faster than you, but you don't really care about that. Like, invading him is hard because of his additional clear potential. But he's really easy to duel. Like, if he ever messes up even slightly against you.
I mean, Kane doesn't even clear that much faster early anymore. It is faster, but it's not astronomically faster. And he has no dueling potential before the transformation. So you can just demolish
After the
Kane.
transformation, though, Shadow Assassin, if he gets ahead, Shadow Assassin can definitely kill you very easily because
Yeah.
for
And
obvious reasons. I mean,
has
his
the
damage is really good.
Ability to kill you as well.
Yeah, I mean,
His damage is just way faster.
Well, yeah, Shadow Assassins is faster, and Rost has the ability to heal through everything you do too. And so
if Shadow Kane initiates the fight, you pretty much always have to jump away. Otherwise, you'll get hit by his W, and you'll take a shitload of damage, and you're probably gonna die.
Yeah.
So you want to jump on him
You
first.
just kill order, you just lose. Like 100%.
Yeah.
yeah, but that's another one that's involved in playing around vision. Like early game, that matchup is free. So if you can find where the Kane is or predict where the Kane is going to be and fight him 1-on-1, you can win that matchup basically every time. But if he gets the evolution, or if he gets the transformation before you can actually manage to shut him out of the game, playing around vision, making sure that you get the jump on him is really, really, really important.
It's also really important to time your invis before he has the chance to use R on you, because you're obviously denying him vision to actually channel the ability onto you, and it's just, I don't know. I feel like a lot of people don't really put that into consideration when they're dueling him, but you could dodge so many abilities just in general by timing your R correctly. It helps 1v1ing anybody in the game, so
Like,
always try to do
yo,
that.
Your
His
ulti,
W is really crucial to like dueling. If you dodge his W, you can always like straight up kill him even after his transformation.
yeah, your ulti it's not just a passive reset, right? You gotta, if you want to play him like to the fullest potential, you want to use your R at the right times. So that's like before people use their abilities, so they can't target you and things like that, just to avoid damage and all that.
So does that wrap up most matchups that we have in mind?
Yeah,
It seems like most of
Pretty
them.
much.
can't really
So
think of any other matchups.
The next question would be, Mr. Steal Your Llama asked, is evolving R first actually the thing to do now?
Probably not. I'm gonna say probably not, because Q is just there. Q exists, and so long as Q exists, Q will always be like that mandatory evolution that you can take
Yeah.
whenever you don't know what to evolve. Or yeah.
If you understand how KhaZix works, R evolve is good. If you understand how to play that playstyle, R evolve is insane. But for the 99% of KhaZix players, Q evolve is and always will be standard and good. It increases your dueling potential. It increases your invading potential. It increases everything. Your
I almost think the opposite. Because I feel like new KhaZix players, they overrate the R evolve because they think it's really good. But like, if you use your R first during a gank, it's essentially the same thing. You don't really need, and the R evo falls off so fucking hard after like 20 minutes.
Yeah,
like after 20 minutes, your R evolve is essentially completely useless, and you will have scaling the whole game.
Yeah,
I disagree with that. But
well,
yeah. Like R evolve is just free invisibility. I don't think it really falls off at any point of the game.
I think it's
because it
horrible.
enables you to it enables you to do so much. Like invisibility in general is like insanely strong. And with KhaZix, you can just walk up and
but you don't really engage like later on in the game, so you can't really use your invisibility like in the early part of the fight.
I mean, if you wanna make picks, R evolve is by far like the most useful ability or evolution or whatever to
extremely
actually
useful
make those
around
picks.
Baron plays.
Yeah.
Like I said, playing around vision is just super important on KhaZix.
Yeah, KhaZix is just essential. Yeah. Like vision control is essential in Kha if you want to be successful.
Helps that massively, but I think if you don't know how to play around it, you just take the Q evolve because you're not going to understand how to play with the R yet. So you take the Q if you want to win, and you don't know how to use the R evolve yet. If you want to learn how to use the R evolve, hop into a few normal games, play around with it, and then start figuring out how it works. But taking Q evolve if you don't know how to play around R evolve is just it infinitely better.
Or if you want to win.
So does that cover the R evolve topic?
Pretty much.
So next question. What's up?
Oh, I said yeah, I think so, yeah.
Okay. The next question is if playing around vision is so important, does anyone build trackers? I think what he mostly meant by playing around vision is the fact that you have to abuse the fog of war as much as possible. Like your KhaZix, your passive resets off of fog of war and vision, and not only that, but so does Duskblade. And Duskblade's just a staple item. You're gonna have it in all your games because there's no reason to not have it. So it just reinforces that playstyle more. You always want to be in the jungle out of vision. Well, not always, but most of the time to, obviously get your passive, get your Duskblade passive. And that's where a lot of your damage is. They nerfed KhaZix Q. So much of your damage is on your passive now. It's just that much more important. So just always look to be in the fog of war. And especially in skirmishes and fights, because there's so many ways you could get revealed. Like last season, there was Lulu, for example, with I forget which ability it is, but you get True Sight on you, and that really fucks you up in any team fight whatsoever. So,
and as vision is so important, you want to make sure you're buying control wards throughout the game and buying your sweeper trinket at level 9.
Yeah, and obviously
to help with that vision control.
Obviously, knowing where the enemy jungler is super important, but the green smite doesn't. It's not. I don't know. The vision off of it is really nice, but you're less enthused with finding the enemy jungler off of exact vision, and it's a lot more denying his vision and using where he's been on the map in the past 30 seconds to know where he's going to be, more than going into place wards and everything. And you can have the control ward as well. You can use control wards aggressively. It is a 75 gold investment, but you can use that 75 gold investment to really get in and place control wards aggressively if you feel that you need extra vision on the enemy's jungle.
Yep. So does that cover the vision topic?
I suppose so.
And does anyone have any final questions at all? No?
No.
Bugframe is typing. Final 2 items.
Situational. You can never.
Always
There is no answer for that.
Yeah.
Like, there's no real answer to that question. If you look at anyone's item set that they have here, pretty much all of the items outside of the first couple are always going to be situational items, and any of your last items can be any of those. LDR, Mortal Reminder, Maw, Death Stance, GA. Like, there's so many options.
Yeah.
So there's no answer to that question.
Mm-hmm.
And it's important to not undervalue Black Cleaver late game as well. If you get that as one of your last 2 items, it's totally acceptable. If you've got
Black Cleaver is a fantastic item.
Yeah, if you have the extra lethality early, and then you're getting the Black Cleaver as your 5th item, like you've got Warrior, Duskblade, Ghostblade boots, and then you're getting a Black Cleaver on top of that. It increases a lot of what you can do in the game. Sure, it doesn't enhance your ability to kill squishies as much, but it allows you to. It gives you a little bit of extra health, and it gives you that little bit of edge on people who have a little bit more armor.
Actually, it's like as good as on squishy targets as you did them.
Yeah,
I think
it is, but it's not something that is. It's not necessarily as good on squishy targets because it is a percentage shred, but it's something that you're not building necessarily for those squishy targets. If you're building something for squishy targets, you're building another lethality item. You're building Edge of Night just for the lethality, but the Black Cleaver.
I think Lord Dormick outclasses Black Cleaver as the last item. If you're not playing lane KhaZix, because then Black Cleaver, in my opinion, is really good.
I think people laugh at Black Cleaver because they see like people like Night Blue 3 and people like that building Bruiser KhaZix and doing like shitty tanky builds on him, and like they just undervalue the dueling potential and the stats that it gives you so much that people just prefer the full lethality build. But I think Black Cleaver is just a ridiculous item on KhaZix.
I play a lot of
Like,
lane KhaZix, and
how much is it? 300 health and 20% CDR. You get
400.
a good amount of
400
AD.
health,
You get
400 health.
400 health. That's even better. And like the Phage passive as well. It's all just so fantastic on him.
I mean, it's a better Phage passive because your W procs it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, a lot of my games, my 4th or 5th item, I look towards. It's either since I'm really greedy, I go either Last Whisper, or I go Black Cleaver or Triforce. Usually I go Triforce because I'm trying to make a mean play with Dark Harvest. But yeah, I don't know.
I think Triforce is really bad
Fuck
right
yeah,
now.
the Triforce.
From when I've played it.
Fucking Triforce, baby! I love that shit. What I'm about to say is going to tilt so many of you, but a couple of weeks back, I had a little phase where I started building Berserker Greaves, fucking Zerker Greaves with Triforce, and it's shit, but it's funny. Like, you just come in as stealth and you just do your auto Q in like a half a second. You're just like, whoa.
Yeah. Attack speed
It's
is really
terrible,
underrated.
but I love it. But I go super greedy builds, so like I don't even build any armor or MR or health or anything. But yeah, if I was playing, if I'm playing ranked or whatever, I definitely wouldn't do that shit. It's all dependent. Like the Triforce is really good if you're bursting 5 squishies, for example. If they've got 2 tanks even, or if the squishies are stacking armor, Black Cleaver is so much better.
Yep.
I think any
It's an item I don't give enough respect,
better than
honestly.
Triforce.
Triforce, it's good on KhaZix, but you just have to be careful with how much gold you're spending for your, for how
Exactly.
efficient.
You have to be really mindful about when you're buying it. Like, if there's like even the slightest chance that you might throw the game, don't build it. You have to be 100% certain you want to buy Triforce, because if you do like decide to build Triforce and then you're in the middle of building it and then you suddenly or maybe you throw a game or something, you're going to be stuck building the Triforce and then the enemy's going to be catching up, and then that Triforce is going to lose its value. Like the whole point of
And the
Triforce
Triforce
is to give
isn't
you
very
more.
good until you've got the full item as well. Like
Yeah,
you can
like
have a Sheen or whatever, but or a Phage, but
Triforce.
it's not that great.
Triforce is about the utility you get from it. So if you're gonna build it when you desperately need more damage to actually, like kill people, you're gonna fall behind, like really badly.
Mhm.
So what Triforce does is it just enables you to do more when you're actually ahead. So you got to be really mindful when you buy it. And I think people really undervalue attack speed on KhaZix. So attack speed speeds up your autos, so it speeds up your passive auto as a result, meaning you can assassinate quicker.
There's this Korean top lane KhaZix one trick who's like Masters Diamond 1 in Korea. And he goes like, he used to go attack speed marks on KhaZix, and then he buys like Phantom Dancer and shit to duel with KhaZix.
Oh,
yeah, I
Yeah,
saw that.
Rob Hockey showed him to me, and yeah, I just thought it was really interesting that he's going Phantom Dancer on KhaZix.
That build's pretty satisfying. I mean, it's not that great, but it's satisfying. Yeah.
that's kind of what I was doing with the whole Berserk Grease thing. I'd like Duskblade, and then I'd go like Triforce, Triforce Infinity as Phantom Dancer, and it's, don't get me wrong, it's horrible, but if you did actually get to those items, you could do some pretty stupid stuff, and it was hilarious. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's like some
Um,
weird half crit KhaZix, half on hit with Triforce and Duskblade, and your auto attacks were doing like fucking 2,000 or something, or maybe not, but close. So,
Yeah, I wanted to mention something with the new runes. If you're like me and love attack speed on KhaZix, like I used to take a few attack speed marks with the old runes on Ka, as well as that attack speed mastery. So, like with the new runes, you don't really have many options to gain attack speed. So, if you're looking for that, some smoother combos or whatever, take the precision tree and run Legend Alacrity. That will help a lot.
But what can you like?
Okay, so would you use
can't
for
really
that?
remove.
Just like you can use any keystone. I've done it with Phase Rush, Dark Harvest, Electrocute, all those. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, what are you
And
replacing?
you
Oh, yeah,
substitute.
very
You can
true.
substitute either Triumph or Cryptic Ra. I would
In that
substitute
case,
Triumph
Triumph,
because
yeah.
just kind of means you have to be a bit more careful. But I mean, that's completely fine in my opinion. I'd much like no attack speed on KhaZix for me. It just feels horrible.
But does anyone
Yeah, if
have
you wanna-
any
if you wanna try that
closing
out.
thoughts? Because we kind of need to wrap it up relatively soon. So does anyone have any last thoughts? I think we've covered a lot of different topics, but I want to make sure we don't go too over time.
Yeah, KhaZix is broken right now. Abuse him.
Anyone got any last thoughts though? What you guys thinking? Rob?
That's just about it for me. We have any tips for picking up a Ka video for learning combos? I think Tinjus has a video for that, right?
It's pretty old, but I guess I think Waffle's gonna make one, aren't you? Or
I was actually about to say, yeah, at the moment I'm making Montage 5, whole chip, and then
chip.
after that I was going to make my my big video on all the mechanics about KhaZix and all that, and it was going to be a video covering, it's not going to cover like matchups or runes or whatever, it's going to cover purely just all the little KhaZix mechanics and things like that, and I've got a lot to say about how vision interacts with Q, for example. It's like the really nitty-gritty bullshit. So it's something that I want. It's not going to be like as I said, it's going to be purely on mechanics. That's what I wanted to set. What is my English? What am I trying to say? I'm trying to make it so it's different in the sense that it goes really in depth into mechanics. That's what I'm trying to say. To the point where, pretty much covers every mechanic that I can possibly think of with KhaZix. Like how he interacts with Tiamat and things like that. So, I'm still like trying to figure out how I'm going to do it in my head, but as soon as that's ready, if I was given a date on when that's going to come out, because of how my schedule is a bit out of whack, and I can't really guarantee things. Probably 3 to 6 months, but I'll try and get it as early as possible. I feel like once I figure out how to do it, I'll be able to smash it out really quickly. I just have to get a lot of footage for it.
All right,
So, yeah.
Sounds good.
here's a quick tip. If you're just picking up KhaZix, I mean, a lot of people overlook this for some reason when they first pick them up, but you can queue midair. Like, I've seen so many beginners who don't know how to queue midair, and it really hurts them a lot. So if you don't know how to queue midair in the middle of your leap, please, pick it up, because it's really important for KhaZix.
Absolutely vital.
Yep.
A lot of people aren't really used to just the direct leap mechanic, I think. So I think that's what usually throws them off, just from what I could think of off the top of my head. Because with other dashes, like for Rangars, for example, it's just point and click. Like, you don't have to choose where exactly you're leaping. So they probably, I don't know, that's probably why they don't put that into consideration right away. Or they simply just don't know that it's a thing.
How you leap with KhaZix during plays is probably the most important factor in determining if that play is going to pop off or not. Because you can either leap too far and miss your target, or you can leap too short and not be able to do anything. So you get the E reset with Q midair. That's one of the ways. There's many ways. That's the most common. That and Tiamat midair.
Yep. So with jumping, you want to make sure you jump on the target most of the time. Sometimes you can like jump over them and get a reset and then jump again, yeah. But most of the time, if you want to just like deal damage, you gotta jump on them so you can actually get your passive auto attack off.
Sometimes you can try and aim a little bit behind them, or try and aim sort of where you think they're going to move in the half second it takes you to leap to their location. But most of the time, it's just 80% of the time it's more consistent just to leap on them. So.
All right, well, if we're about done wrapping it up, for those of you who have not been to a Kha'Zix seminar before, I just want to give a little bit of information in the last couple minutes. So we will be uploading this relatively soon on YouTube within the next couple of days, at least within the next week at most. So if you came in late or if you missed some of it, we'll have a lot of that available. We also have all of our previous seminars. If you guys have any questions, feel free to stick around in Kha'Zix discussion. We'd love to answer them as always, but you guys, for those who've been here before, you know the drill. And for those of you who want to give your opinion on anything in the future, just remember, especially from our Kha'Zix seminars, that we are always available. We can, the moderator team can help you out. We can give you roles. Maybe if anyone's interested in becoming a Kha'Zix tutor, anything like that, just let us know. All that kind of thing. And for everyone who's here for the first time, we'd love to have you back for next time. Thank you for joining us. Anyone have anything?
Much.
That should wrap it up.
All right.
Follow Atlas guys on Twitter.
All right, boys and girls, enjoy your night.
Hell yeah.
Just unmute everyone. If they feel
Oh
like.
god.
And before everyone's unmuted and just
Oh, boy.
constant screeching. Fucking ring.
Ah shit, I have school tomorrow. I'm gonna
People
go. Bye
leaving now.
guys.
See you later.
See you later, dude.
I got work to do.
I've got work in 9 hours, I think. Oof.
Ooh.